Thank you all for joining me as we go through the eLearning Hub. And we're still waiting on some people to join me, assuming there'll be people joining me. So we'll just be kicking off in 2 minutes, and I'll do a quick whip through the eLearning Hub, which is part of our gambling-related harm framework. But just give me a couple of minutes. I've realized that getting people in a Zoom room is far quicker than getting them into a physical room. So I'm going to get us kicked off now as we go through the eLearning Hub. I just want to quickly check. Zoom peeps, can you hear me? Okay. Fantastic. Do appreciate that. So I'm going to whip through like lightning the gambling related harm framework component, the eLearning Hub. And this was really built to give organizations as well as individuals a tool to build their own knowledge and their own capacity and capability. And also we had team leaders and service leaders in mind as well, because these modules are built to also be used to upskill your team and to be able to check in with them as well. So if we quickly go through the framework, when you jump on the website after this session, which I'm sure you will, what is going to happen is you will be confronted with 3 colorful banners. Now, of course, if you click the framework in action, it will take you to all of our different hands-on tools. And I'm going to go to the Framework eLearning Hub, which takes me here. Now, you'll notice that there are 4 modules. The first one is really about summarizing what culturally responsive practice is, to give us that, I guess, base level of knowledge so we can move through the other modules. Module 2 is really about culturally responsive practice, particularly in terms of gambling-related harm. So what is gambling-related harm? How prevalent is it? What are the contributors, particularly looking at that Western Sydney context that we operate in? We then move to the module about the gambling-related harm framework, which is really looking at the framework as a whole and how the knowledge within it applies to practice. And then finally, we have applying the framework in practice. So that really unpacks what tools are available when we talk about implementation tools and how they can fit into the journey of organizations and individuals trying or, looking to address gambling related harm within their communities. So here's one I prepared earlier, as they say on all the cooking shows. So I've chosen module 1 to give you a bit of an idea of what it looks like underneath the bonnet. And this is our rapid refresher tool. So it gives us an outline of what we'll cover, which is what is culture, what is cultural responsiveness, what does cultural responsiveness look like, and how can I improve cultural responsiveness? And it gives us some information, and I'm going to really fly through that in the interest of time. So it unpacks a lot of the concepts that exist within the framework report in easy bite-sized chunks to digest for ourselves and our team members as well. It unpacks the different components of culture and also gives us clues in terms of what it's important to be aware about when we talk about culture. And so as I skip through these very quickly, you'll see that it's really a bite-sized chunk of the report. So we can work with not only senior practitioners within our organizations, but also people who work the intake desk who may not necessarily have access to this density of knowledge. We then talk about cultural responsiveness. We give definitions in this module from various sources, as well as really break down what that can look like in terms of practice on the ground for community organisations and practitioners. We then look at the different groups that cultural responsiveness is really key for, such as our First Nations people and culturally and linguistically diverse people, as well as a bunch of other groups. We also dive down in terms of what cultural responsiveness can look like in practice. And again, this is bite-sized, and I encourage you all, both here physically and also on Zoom, to go through this at your leisure. But the key is about this really being a 5 to 10 minute module that isn't completely overwhelming for ourselves and for our team to take on board. And then finally, we look at how to improve cultural responsiveness. And I won't play this video here, but we've actually embedded a relevant YouTube video. And as much as we can, we try and use multimedia sources to mix it up a bit. We then move to the optional activity, which includes some question prompts for people to reflect on in terms of their organisation. And we end it, like all good e-learning modules, with a quiz. Now, the good thing about this is it will ask us to enter our name and enter our email address. And I am using my own email address. Please don't sign me up to any spam filters, particularly you guys on Zoom. But and the reason we take the email isn't for our own interest. It's actually so the person taking the quiz can be sent a copy of their answers. And so they know what they got wrong, they know what they got right, but also, and again, this is for our team leaders and organizational leaders out there, we can also say, fantastic, can you do this quiz by Friday? And just, so I know, send me through what you got with it, just so we know what to work on. So there's that element as well that we can draw upon. So I'm going to quickly fly through, but we've got a variety of, questions and answers. We have some which are multiple choice. We have some which are tick a box. I'm ticking any box, knowing that I'm going to get them wrong, like I did just there. I do assure you that, having been one of the researchers on this, I can get these all right if I try very hard. And as we go through, what will actually happen is we have a variety of response types we can use. Now, what do we get from doing all of this? Apart from answers in real time, which are fantastic, we also will get an email. And again, here's one I prepared earlier. So once we've completed this quiz, the participant will actually receive a test email. And I've just saved this as PDF in interest of screen sharing. I don't want you all to see my inbox. So what we can see here is, upon the completion of this quiz, the person or the participant will get all of the answers. For those that were incorrect, they actually get indicators around what the correct answers were. So that way we can use this quiz not only as a tool, to test knowledge, but also a tool to reflect, a tool to see where our own knowledge, as well as our organization's knowledge, is at in terms of these 4 modules. So those are the, e-learning modules. I won't take you through all of them, even though I love talking about this project. And I think I'm going to leave it there in terms of the simulation. Were there any questions, either from Zoom or from the room full of people I have here? I'm going to, here we go. My screen's flashing, so it must be good. Oh, fantastic. All good. Thanks. Thank you very much. Look, on that note, I feel like I've paused for an appropriate amount of time. I'm going to let people type a little bit more just in case. But in that case, I'm going to close this rapid simulation. For our people in person, you would have had on your seat coming in a postcard. What we would love you to do is scan the QR code on the back of that, and it will take you to our evaluation page where you can tell us how great we were, or alternatively say how bad my jokes were. The option is yours. So I'd really encourage you to do that. And for the people joining us on Zoom, what I will say is that you will be getting an email shortly with that information. But what I will do as well, as I stop sharing my screen, is I'm actually going to hold a moment and send you through the evaluation link. Please fill that out at your leisure, but if not, feel free to leave us and we will harass you via email. Thank you very much for joining us on Zoom and in person. I hope you bring this to life as much as we hope.